Hello and welcome. Today I will be talking about the stigma, specifically on mental illness. I'm sure you've all heard of stigma before, but I'm sure some of you are still wondering, what's that? My name's Tommy Schubert, and I'm here to help. The word stigma means mark. This is a mark that is placed upon a person by another person, group, or society. This mark cannot be physically seen, but it nonetheless is a mark that people perceive that causes them to stay away. As anyone can see, there is truly a clear problem in our society if we're placing marks upon people that make people want to stay away from them. But what are the true underlying issues to the problem of the stigma on mental illness? There are three underlying problems surrounding the stigma on mental illness. The first is known as the public stigma on mental illness. The second is known as the self-stigma on mental illness. And the third is the low rates of treatment that are associated with mental illness cases. To start off, let's talk about the public stigma on mental illness. Public stigma on mental illness is defined as the perception endorsed by the entire population that a person who seeks mental health services is undesirable or socially unacceptable. This can lead to stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination. Next, let's talk about the self-stigma on mental illness. Self-stigma is defined as the reduction in a person's self-esteem or sense of self-worth due to the perception held by the individual that he or she is socially unacceptable. Oftentimes, the mentally ill internalize the public stigma and begin to see themselves as the public sees them. Now let's talk about the rate of treatment surrounding mental illness cases. There are two main types of treatment for mental illnesses. One is known as psychotherapy, also known as talk therapy, and the other is known as drug therapy. Unfortunately, these two treatments are not often used because of the stigma surrounding mental illness. At this point, you might be realizing that there are some major problems with the stigma on mental illness, but luckily, there are some solutions to this problem. The two main solutions include changing societal views of mental illness and increasing the rate of treatment of mental illness cases. One way that we can work to change the societal views on mental illness is to effect change on the media. For example, the media often portrays mentally ill people in a negative light, which leads people to associate that the mentally ill are dangerous. We can also work to change societal views through laws. For example, the state of California has the California Department of Mental Health, which implemented the Mental Health Services Act. This act works to reduce stigma, reduce discrimination, and increase public knowledge of the situation. In order to increase the rate of treatment, we need to reduce public stigma, which will in turn reduce self-stigma, which will result in a higher rate of treatment in cases of mental illness. Another way to increase the rate of treatment would be to inform professionals, social agencies, employers, and landlords of the stigma on mental illness. This would result in reduced discrimination, which would lead to an increased rate of treatment. Some people might wonder, is treatment even effective? Some people believe that psychotherapy or talk therapy is just a placebo effect of Western society. It has been shown that not many other continents besides North America and Europe use psychotherapy, but mostly this is just because they're not familiar with the concept. Researchers have said that psychotherapy is effective and works across many different types of people, as for instance, age and ethnicity. All we really have to do to start helping the problem of the stigma on mental illness is work together. This idea has been captured by some modern artists, as in this painting entitled, "When Can We Sit at the Same Table?" One may interpret from this painting that it might be time to stop discriminating and all work together. If we were to all work together, we may one day be able to say, this is a stigma-free society.